Okay guys, in this quick instructional video, I'm just going to be talking you through a little bit of stretching without any equipment, just to help mobilize yourself and help increase your range of motion. Now, as a rule of thumb, what I generally tell my guys is to try and do about 15 minutes per hour of exercise. So that can be 15 minutes straight after you've trained, or if you do an hour and then you want to do 15 minutes later on, that's fine, or 15 minutes the next day, that's fine. Or if you want to do, maybe you don't have time and you've got 4 or 5 hours built up in the week, you can then do like an hour at the weekend. But as a general rule of thumb, if you do a little bit every day or a little bit more often, that will have the greatest impact on your mobility. And that is generally better than spending a whole hour or 2 hours or however long just doing mobility. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with our hips and glutes and hamstrings. So what you're going to do is just get yourself a little mat or a cushion or something like that. And then from here, you're just going to put it down. We're going to come into this lunge position. Now, it's very important when we talk through this that we're not necessarily just pushing forward and leaning back. What I want you to do is tuck your pelvis under. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm pulling my pelvis underneath. So I'm squeezing my glutes, and then I'm keeping my abs tight, shoulders straight. So therefore, I'm not arching out and letting my abs stretch. I'm pulling them in, keeping glutes tight, and then this is going to really pull in the front of your hip here, in your hip flexor. So you're just going to drive that forward. Now for each of these exercises, you want to be going for about 1 to 3 minutes on each side or in each position. If you want to do longer, that's absolutely fine. You're not going to get any problems. But when you do go into it, into each stretch, try not to go too fast or too much too soon. So by that, what I mean is when you've got this stretch here, don't really drive into it so it's painful. You just want to feel that point to where it starts stretching. Then when it starts easing off, just go a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until obviously it'll start to fully increase that range of motion. So when you've done that leg and you've done the other side, we're then going to go into a hamstring stretch or another hip stretch. So from here now, what we're going to do is drive this leg back. This leg's going to come forward, and then we're going to lie completely flat if we can in this position. So you're going to try and drive your hips into the floor now. Now, when we get into this position, some of you that are more flexible may be able to go onto your elbows. You may even be able to get your chest closer to the floor. I'm not that flexible myself, so I'm struggling to get into this position. So once you're here, you're then going to just make sure you're driving into that floor position, and you'll still feel it in the front of your back leg here, but you'll also feel it in your hamstring here too. So once you've done a few minutes on each side of that, change legs. Now, the last one for our glutes is going to be, we're going to be staying in this position. This is called the pigeon stretch or pigeon pose. So you're going to bring this leg across your body like this. You're going to bring it across so until your knee touches the floor. It's nice and slow from here. And then from there, we're just going to bring our chest to the floor. Now, what you want to be doing with this is trying to bring your foot up as high as you can here. So the more flexible your glute is, the more you'll be able to get your foot up here. It's absolutely fine if you can't. It doesn't really matter too much. If you can't get down low, that's absolutely fine as well. Just keep your chest up and just try and push into this front leg here. Okay, once you've done a few minutes on that, we will have glutes, hamstrings, and legs pretty much stretched out from your hips. Now, the reason why we focus on these areas is because most of us have a lot of sit-down sort of lifestyle, and we have days, weeks, months where we're sitting down more than normal. So, for example, we've just been in lockdown, spending a lot of time sitting down at home for your desk. Then if you want to go somewhere, you drive there, you end up sitting down again. You end up sitting down when you're watching TV, sitting down when you're eating your food. It's a lot of sitting down. And what that happens is then hamstrings get tight, hips get tight, and then you start to get low back pain. So this all will help with that as well. Now, next one, what we're going to do, this is called cat-cow. So you're going to come onto all fours like this, and then what we're going to do, we're going to arch our back as much as we can, and then we're going to arch it the opposite way as much as we can. Really round our shoulder blades. And just going to repeat this process for a few minutes. Next movement, what we're going to do, we're just going to come into this movement here, which is called child's pose, I think. And we're just going to stretch those lats. So you want to be trying to bring everything out as much as you can, driving into the floor. And then when you get into that position, what you want to be doing is trying to use your arms to really push into the floor if you can. So not down with your weight into it, but with a full leverage, pull into the floor, and that'll get you an even greater stretch on those lats. So you're going to go from here. Once you've done a couple of minutes in this position, you're just going to put one hand over the other on one side, do a couple of minutes in that position, and then same again over here on this side. Now, next stretch, this is a groin stretch, so what you want to do is bring your feet out like this, and then your knees out as much as you can, and then all you're going to do is sit back into it, so you'll really feel this into your hips and your groin. This is a really good stretch. So again, just some gentle rocking, not going into any painful positions, but just into a position where you can feel that stretch. Okay, last one, what we're going to do, guys, we're just going to bring our hands, we're going to put them on the lower part of your back, and then from here, we're going to try and pull our shoulder blades back as much as we can, try and bring our elbows back as much as we can. You should feel a stretch across your chest. If you can't feel it across your chest, you may have quite a strong chest that's pulling it in too much and you're not strong enough. You can get someone to come behind and actually squeeze your elbows together, which again will give you a greater stretch on your chest. Now this is just a general sort of mobility and stretching routine. I'm sure a lot of you out there will have specific needs and specific issues and niggles which you need addressing. If that's the case, please feel free to send me a message and I'll send you some routines which will aid you individually. But for now, just try and do a little bit every day just to try and loosen up and get that range of motion as best you can.